computer. Okay. There you go. So Kristen and Porter are now co-hosts, and they should be able to do screen sharing if they want to.
Great. Excellent. Thank you.
All righty.
Let's see here. Okay, so would anyone like to call the meeting to order? I'll take a motion.
Yeah, I'll call it to order.
I'll second.
Motion. All right.
Okay, meeting called to order, only slightly tardy, 6:12 p.m. Okay, and let me find I'm really discombobulated here because everything I had lined up to share is on my laptop and now I'm on my PC. Okay. That little snafu. Okay, so first item would be comment period. The members of the public that we have here today include Nancy Morrison. Did you want to say anything or just observe tonight?
Just observe.
Okay, great. Well, welcome. Thank you for joining us to learn more. Any additional items to add to the agenda this evening? Okay, hearing none. I think I'll take as the first order of business, since Porter's here, if you'd like to hop to the top of the agenda.
Sure.
That would be great. So Porter's here to talk about or give us an update on the Bristol Trail Network. Take it away, Porter.
Great. So I thought I would let you know that the business park section is going to be reopened this weekend. The weather forecast is poor, so but it's really almost finished. I was over there this afternoon with our intern, and I just have a couple questions for Kevin Harper to check in with to connect it, but people will be able to use that section again by next week, and that'll be excellent. So that's great news. The dump section, which has been closed Monday through Friday during the week, during the workday because of the solar installation, people have still been able to enjoy that evenings and weekends, which is great. But that solar installation is progressing brilliantly, and I'm pretty confident that we'll be back there by Christmas. So that's very soon. So both of those sections will be open. Our entire 3 miles from Basin to Pine Street around the dump will be completely open, and we are working on a new section. We had some new landowners north of the dump, and if you guys want to look at the map, I can try to share my screen and show you that. Do people want me to do that or just talk?
Yeah, it'd be neat to see.
Okay.
That'd be great.
So let's see if it'll let me share this. Okay, so I'll move that over a little bit. All right, so participants can now see the screen. So let me move it down a little bit and make it a little bigger. Oops, that's smaller. Okay, so for orientation, this is the dump where the solar array is going. Everybody see that? I'm looking for nodding heads.
Yep.
Okay. So this is the existing Bristol Trail Network that goes around the dump and then up to by the town shed at Pine Street. So this triangle of land goes all the way to Plank Road. And it was owned by Terry Thomas, who I spoke to in 2017, and he said he thought trail would be great there, but then sadly he passed away. I spoke to his kids after waiting a little while to, and they said they thought trail would be fine, but then by the time I marked the trail, they said, oh, sorry, it's under contract. So they sold the parcel, but they sold it to this amazing new young couple who live right here. So this parcel, they're adjoining, but they were actually 2 separate parcels, but they bought this parcel and they bought this parcel. And they are Jennifer Starling and Brian Ducart, and they are super excited about trail. Like, they were so excited that when I talked to them about it, they were like, when can we start? I was like, oh, well, next week. So we marked this little section of trail. We call it the V. And then we marked this section up to Plank Road. They're going to have this surveyed. There is some they just want to make sure that everybody's clear, because as you can see, the adjoining landowner has mowed a whole bunch of this property. But according to, everything, these are the property boundaries, and we'll stay in the tree line, but they just want to make sure there's no concerns with their new neighbors. So they're going to have that, surveyed. So on Wednesday, a group of mostly middle schoolers built half of this trail. And on Sunday morning, I'm hoping to have a bunch of local folks to go out and build this part of the trail. We will wait to do this part. Jen and Brian are avid disc golf fans. And so they want to put in a disc golf course here. And so we're going to not put this piece in probably until they figure out what they want to do there, just so that people aren't throwing Frisbees back and forth across the trail. But eventually there will be a loop there, and it will go to plank. So that will add, I'm not sure exactly how much, if you do the whole loop, it's, just under a mile. Well, maybe it's 0.7 miles. But going, adding this adds, not quite half a mile to us. So that's very exciting news. So then people can walk back this way they came, or they can go back on Plank Road to the village. And then I've had a number of good conversations with landowners going north from Plank to Vermont bicycle touring. So the Heffernans were initially quite open to having trail there, and Sylvia Coffin. I have yet to talk to Sylvia's sister-in-law, Jane. This would be Jane's property we would have to cross, so I'm hoping to meet with her very soon. And this line is not exactly correct. I haven't walked this, I just drew this on. But Diane and Francis are, their daughter and son-in-law will be taking possession of a parcel here. I'm not sure exactly where, so I'm hoping to meet with them next week and just see, what people's comfort level is with getting around that new parcel, et cetera. So this is not a done deal, but these have been some really positive conversations there. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. And then since I'm sharing my screen, you can see additional fantasies in yellow, which are that Sylvia Coffin also owns this parcel here. And she owns this parcel here. And I have spoken to her and her daughter about this. And they actually have an easement across the hills land. That would be really exciting for us to get to here. And I'll shrink this a little bit so that you can have this in perspective. But what we're trying to do is connect the village to the pond. So if we can come north from the Bristol Trail Network and get to this segment again, which I've drawn, but this is the Pond Road, which is a private road, and we would need approval from the association that shares ownership of that to use that. But I have walked this parcel again back in 2017 with Dave Cobb, and I've spoken to 3 of the 5 landowners along this stretch. There is an existing road there if you're an avid mountain biker, or if you've ever, if you've ridden your horse here 40 years ago, people still ride and this section. This little bit here is called Heath Road. So when you come down Mountain Street, when it turns a hard right to Divino, this is a private road called Heath Road. I've spoken to a number of those residents who are open to horses, bikes, and hikers and skiers. So this could give access to the village here, to the pond, access to the village here, and to the pond. And this would be very exciting at a number of levels, because this is a wonderful gem for our community. But also, again, if you're an avid mountain biker, you may be aware that New Leaf Organics has put a tremendous mountain biking setup there. And so getting safe access from the village to that mountain biking venue would be really great, keeping people off of Moncton Road.
Very
So-
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share that with you. As I said, that's not a done deal. You know, the Cart Starling parcel is, and I'm working with them on an easement. I've had really positive interactions with the people going north of Plank. The rest of it is just barely starting to come together. They were conversations that I had a number of years ago, and now, you know, people are coming forward again. So it's very cool.
There's kind of a pretty little trail up on the ridge just east of the Bristol Pond in that A. Johnson section. I wonder if you could get a trail up to that. They're cutting in there right now these days, the last couple of years, but when not, it's really, really cool in there. And there's a little trail that goes right along the crest there down to a little pond.
Yeah.
I
There's
wonder if you
some-
could get at that.
Yeah. So the Bristol Trail Network has not approached Johnson about any Bristol Trail Network activity on Hogback. I have met with Bill Sayre. I meet with him every year since the very beginning. And, you know, I told him a couple of years ago that I wasn't going to ask for anything on Hogback until we finished everything else in the village. You know, he knows where I'm going, which is that what I'd really like to do is be able to come back, not on Heath Road and Mountain Street, but to come back all on Hogback and tie into Mountain Terrace at the Ledges access. So, you know, he knows that, but they have very good reasons why they have historically asked for us not us, they've asked the world not to mark or advertise trail on Hogback, even though they very generously let people use that. I understand their reasons, but I'm hoping that they'll make an exception for their neighbors, the Bristol Trail Network, when we get there. But I haven't gone there yet. But I'm going there, and Bill knows it. I mean, you know, I said to him last time I met with them, or actually the time before that, I said, you know where I'm going here, and he said, you know how he does, he smiles. I know.
That would be pretty cool.
Let's see. I will say though that so I have, you know, these great interns, and what I tell my interns when they do work here is that you know, you will dig, and that will be awesome and super fun and satisfying, although perhaps not intellectually stimulating. But what I also hope is that you will find this the work with the Bristol Trail Network to be something that you can use on your portfolio, on your resume. And so when I interview you, I need you to tell me what you're excited about, and you need to propose a project plan. And so you may recall that my intern this summer, Jenny, was super excited about pollinators. And so she did the pollinator garden at Sycamore. Before that, I had other interns who did created outdoor space for the classrooms to use during COVID, and designed an outdoor ed curriculum that Mount Abe can use in conjunction with UVM when they let UVM volunteers back into school after COVID. So anyway, this current intern is a forestry minor, and he was very interested in the history and economics of forestry in the growth of Bristol. And so we met with Bill Sayre, and Pete said what he would like to do is to create signage on the Ledges Trail that says basically in storyboard format, you know, hey, welcome to Hogback, you're on private property, but you can be here. This is a working landscape. Here's what's going on. Did you know that 100 years ago there were no trees here because this was sheep farming, but now there's trees, and that this is forested, you know, logged by a local family, and this is what a site looks like when it's been, you know, logged 5 years ago, and this is what a site looks like when it was logged 20 years ago, and you know, so trying to sort of educate the user and you know, avoid what I run into when I hike the ledges of people saying, "Oh my God, can you believe what they're doing up there?" To which I always say, like, I know, isn't it wonderful that they can make a living and keep this land open, and that they're so generous to let us use it recreationally? That's so great. And people always go like, "Oh, well, I guess I never thought of it that way." I'm like, that's because you weren't thinking, because it's not your land, duh. But anyway, So, so Bill liked that. And so Pete is finishing those signs. But Pete, being the academic forestry guy, is like, there's a lot of data on the signs. When I was thinking more of like a storyboard, like, hey, this is cool, so that people will like read them and, but we'll see. So we're meeting, I hope, with Bill in the next couple of weeks. The semester's coming to a close. I'm thinking that what will happen is probably I will end up with what Pete finished, and I will hopefully work with Bill to get that into a format that we can then install next year. We don't maintain the Ledges Trail. It's not I would say it's a badly built trail, except it's not a built trail. It's just an evolved trail. And it's not the kind of trail that you would ever build because of this, the grade and the erosion. But nonetheless, if we can educate those people and help them be more appreciative of our neighbors who happen to own this lovely parcel and log it, that's good for a lot of good. So
That's great.
That'd be wonderful.
There's a thought came to me that when we did the historical sign on the Coffin Factory Trail, we used Sandra Murphy's skills and talents to kind of distill the message. And I don't know if she might be willing to help review some of the materials.
So she did, actually, very
Oh, good.
graciously. I reached out to her and I introduced her to Pete, and Pete
Perfect.
met with her, and she did give him some tips which he felt were very useful and helpful.
Great.
So that was great. I don't know how closely you work with Dave Brin and Vermont Family Forest these days.
Yeah.
David describes his thinking as having evolved. And so, his thoughts, and therefore Sandra's, because they
Collaborate. Mhm.
closely, their perspectives on forestry and what is sustainable, or, they may not be exactly in line with what the UVM forestry department is currently teaching as best practices. So she allowed us how, and to me privately, not to Pete, had she been asked to more closely evaluate the content, might not share the things that he wanted to communicate.
Got it.
But she was nonetheless gracious and supportive of him as a learner, with her experience as a sign maker.
Excellent. Yeah, because that's a real talent, to take lots of information and make it visually appealing, but also digestible as you're walking by, kind of.
And I think professionally that he would probably still not be happy with what he's going to have as a finished product.
Mhm.
But I think that she gave him good points, and he feels as a learner that he benefited from that. And so our next step is to take the information he has developed to the landowner and see how the landowner feels about it. And I will take my cues from the landowner. And if the landowner wants to see something that is different, then we'll go from there. If the landowner says, this is super, young man, you've done a great job, then I think we'll not be perfectionist about it. And we'll say, this intern has made a good intellectual and academic effort, and we're going to use it in the community.
Makes sense, for sure. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for the update. The pop-up event that you spoke of, that's for the newest trail segment?
On Sunday.
And that's going to be on Sunday. Okay. And should folks contact you before they show up, or can they just show up?
I like people to contact me before they come for 3 reasons. One is so I have contact info if we do have, dreadful weather, so I can cancel, so that I know who I'm waiting for. So if nobody shows up, then I know that I'm still expecting X number of people. And also so I can plan our workday. So if I end up with a whole lot of people, we'll segment into specific teams. So, people can all be engaged.
That makes good sense, for sure. And the weather is supposed to be maybe a little rainy, but you won't worry about just a little rain, probably?
We won't worry about a little rain.
Okay.
And yeah, so.
Excellent. Thank you so much for all this work. It's
Mm-hmm.
really fun to see it starting to come together.
It is, we've had a ton of momentum, and then with COVID, we took a step back, and sort of at the same time that we were doing less new development, there were so many more people appreciating and using the trails.
Yeah.
So it's fun to sort of be back into starting to get some traction on new development again. And also just being so glad to hear people and see people out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Anyone else have questions or comments for Porter?
I think so. I ran into a tourist recently who was asking me about the trail and where it started, and pointed her in the direction, and she was really excited about it. She was from Arizona. She was up here for like leaf peeping season.
How did she even find out about the trail? Did she mention?
I think she had just found it online. She didn't seem like she knew anyone locally. And she just stopped me on the street and was like, "You look local."
I've had that one time. I was leading a group on a trail walk, and we came across this family of 7 from Connecticut. And they had same thing. They saw it like on all trails, and they were trying to figure out like how to find it. And so side note on that. So as just like a random weird volunteer who thinks Bristol is the most amazing town ever, I had talked another person who feels the same way, which is Meredith McFarland, into being the welcome committee. And so Meredith and I put together these welcome packets, and we printed up some canvas shopping bags. And so the canvas bags on the one side have the Town of Bristol logo, and on the other side they have my Bristol, Vermont best period town period ever period with the Trail Network logo.
Nice.
Which is on the t-shirt, by the way. If you haven't ordered your t-shirt yet, you should. But and then we filled these bags with flyers that we got from anybody we could think of who was a nonprofit service or resource in the community. So there's a flyer in there about worship service. There's a flyer in there about the Boy Scouts. There's a flyer in there about, the fire department and the rescue squad and the food shelf and the Mount Ape musicals and things that, like, if you were new to town, you might be like, oh, this is an interesting thing to learn about, or this is something I could volunteer in and get involved in.
That's great.
And of course, a trail map. But we went to Sharon at the town clerk's office, and we said, so when new people come to town, like, what are the questions that they ask you? So we want to make sure we answer those. And she said, there's really only 2. She said, the first question is, what do I do with my trash? And I was like, okay, so that's a good one. And the second one is, where's that trail? So I was like, wow, there's only 2 and we made the list. Like, that's
pretty cool.
I'm pretty impressed. So we put the trail map in there with like how to get involved. And then we put in information about R&L, but then we're actually, for our next iteration, when we do our next round in January. So we delivered about a little over 20 packets to everybody who was had bought a house. It's a house in Bristol since April. And then for our next iteration, we're going to improve the trash one. They'll be like, actually, like, you have to recycle and you have to compost, and here's what and here's how, and then here's the horses and going to the dump yourself and people you could hire. So that's the only sheet that will have anything about private companies, but it's the big question. We got to answer it.
Absolutely. That's such a great idea, though. So to every new homeowner in Bristol.
Initially, so we are using the property transfer tax forms.
Yeah.
And so when somebody buys a residence, then we're going to drop it off. We're going to do it 4 times a year, so there won't be quite as many each time.
Yeah.
And then there's some ambiguity, like sometimes somebody, well, they bought their mother's house, so they're not really a new resident.
That's
And
what we
they've been
just
living
did
in-
in
That
October.
sounds familiar.
Okay. Did you not get a packet? We're so sorry. You can have one.
I guess
Anyway.
I know where the trail is, though.
I know, but the shopping bag, I'm telling you, it's really
True,
nice.
I do want that.
So we're going to sell the shopping bags for $25 so that we can pay ourselves back for the first round of bags that we bought and then buy the next round of bags. So that's how this Ponzi scheme is working. But the bags are really nice. So everybody's going to want one.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so then our next thing is then next year, we're going to try to reach out to landlords and let them, let us know when they have new tenants. So they get one also. So we're not just doing people who own.
Cool.
And then I've actually had somebody approach me and said, well, I do Airbnb and I want those for all of my Airbnb people. So, but I think we're going to charge for that because
Yeah, that would make sense. But
That's such a cool idea. It really is.
isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So fun.
Yeah.
yeah,
Nancy's new to town.
Now I'm like, where's my bag?
She just bought a house.
It sounds like I need all that information.
Wait,
have
did
a-
you buy a house? Did we not give you a bag?
No, we bought in October. We signed.
Ah, see, you'll be on the next one. So it was
Yeah,
April.
we just signed in October too. So
So it's coming. Okay.
You can email me your name and your address, and we'll get it to you early because we have a couple extra. So
well,
You know,
luckily Alex
I
and
can
I
come
live
pick it
together,
up
so we're just
If you don't
one.
want,
We're different Zooms today, but
it's actually super fun to drop them off. We drove around and dropped them off, and a lot of people weren't home, and we just hung it on the doorknob. And then later we're like, we didn't even put our name in there or anything. So I have no idea where this came from, which is probably a little strange, but whatever. But the couple of them, like I drove, and then Meredith got out, and she goes up, she knocks, and the door opens, and you see the person go. And then I actually like rolled down my window because this woman, was like, and I hear her say, this town just keeps getting better and better. I swear, this is such a nice bag. Thank you. And then this other woman opens the door, and she's got this little kid with her, like this 3-year-old. And she goes, and then I don't know what the kid's name is. She's like, this nice lady just came to welcome us to town. And he goes, yay!
it's such a fun idea. It really is.
totally. Oh, that's
All right,
terrific.
I'm sorry. I'm like taking up your agenda.
Okay, no worries at all. I think we're gonna have a short meeting tonight anyway, so it's fun to hear about that.
All right.
Thank
Well, if you don't have my email, it's night@gmavt.net. So happy to get y'all bags.
Exactly.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Porter.
Thanks,
My
Porter.
pleasure. See you guys.
Have
Bye.
a good
Porter.
night. Cool. Very cool. Let's see. I skipped over the item, which was review and approval of minutes from October 14th. Hopefully you all had a chance to review those. And do I have a motion to accept them?
I'll motion to accept them.
Thank you.
Am I able to second, even though I
I
wrote?
think you-
Yeah, I'll second.
and I don't think we have even a quorum this evening, so.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, usually Jono shows up at some point, but he hasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Correspondence, there was a note that hit our emails earlier this week, that there's a meeting next week on November 17th from 12:30 to 2 to discuss Addison County forests and inclusion of forests in your municipal plan. It's an event that's being hosted by Addison County Regional Planning Commission. But I think it's also, or may only be, a virtual event. That I think you saw that in the emails, Zaylee, probably, so that can get added to the minutes.
Mhm.
Okay. Correspondence, old business, Conservation Commission membership. Any thoughts or?
Well, we've got Nancy
Well,
here, right?
We got a potential new member, Nancy. There we go. Nancy, have you, I'm not sure if you're aware of the procedures for asking to join, but there are some forms in the town hall as you first walk in the basement level on your left-hand side, I believe. There's a number of forms, but one of them is a form to fill out if you'd like to be a volunteer on one of the town boards. So that would be your next step if you're at all interested to join us, is to fill that form out and give it to Sharon in the town hall.
Okay.
And usually they just ask for a little bit of background information about yourself and why you would be interested to serve. And typically there'll be an invitation for you to come to the select board meeting and also meet with them and tell them the same information.
Okay.
Just so you know what the process is like.
Sounds good.
But we'll let you continue to observe, and we won't put you on the spot this evening. And you're always welcome to come to any meeting, for sure. Second Thursday of the month at 6 o'clock. And typically the town hall would be open tonight. We just had a little snafu because of a change in the code to enter. But you could join on Zoom or in person in the town hall. Bristol Trail Network was the next item we just heard about. Next item is Parks update. Anyone have an update on Eagle Park?
I saw Helen's email sent that it said that she had removed the sumac.
Excellent.
Other than that, that's all I know.
Okay.
Oh,
thank you.
Alex this week, huh? So,
Yeah, Alex,
or other Alex.
he did submit a little brief report, which I'll read from. Eagle Park, everything seems to be in good condition. I noticed the sumac was taken care of in the garden. Memorial Park, he said everything is fine and in good condition. Town Green had lots of use during Halloween. The garbage and recycling receptacles are doing well. There's significantly less litter on the green. He has not observed any misuse of the garbage cans. And by the way, Zaylee, I can forward you this report so you don't have to catch every word that I'm saying, but it
So
might
far,
be
so good though.
for minutes. The playground was decorated with spider webs for Halloween, not by the rec department. I'm not sure if it was a group or a family that put up the decoration, but in the future, we'd like to know about it beforehand so we can help with the cleanup as soon as possible after the holiday. We just made mention of that. And then Sycamore Park, you know, Alex goes and visits the parks once a week, usually on Fridays. And he recently discovered a significant burnout tire marks on the approach driveway to Sycamore Park, and tire debris on the driveway to Sycamore parking lot. He enclosed some pictures, which I'll forward so that you'll have them for the minutes, Zaylee. I also found a Vermont license on the ground near the scene. I've been in communication with Chief Nason about the damage and identification. So he will update the commission when he has more information, perhaps at the next meeting. Otherwise, there are more significant recent tire tracks through the park toward the Chauncey Wallace property. So that was just, he just made that remark that we might want to keep watch of that. And finally, he reinforced the partially fallen apple tree. So it should stay up through the winter, fingers crossed, it says. Excellent. Any other park updates? Oh, I have one, sorry. Let me share my screen here. The engineer for the redesign or the repair of the universal fishing platform at Eagle Park has forwarded kind of a conceptual design. And let's see if I can get this. Can everyone see my screen there?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the parking lot at Eagle Park, and here's the garden that we've been tending to, and this is the background of this figure is intentionally blurred just so that your focus will be on the features that are pointed out here. But here would be the river, on Haven River to the south. And here's the existing gravel parkway. There's a section of concrete that has been undermined and washed out by the Halloween storm of 2019 that is slated for removal. And the design calls for replacement of this walk with Trex boardwalk on aluminum frame and helical piles that would be driven deeply into the subsurface to support that boardwalk, but still allow for the river to overtop under the boardwalk. The item that I wanted to point out was there was I remember we talked about this last month or maybe the month before. There was concern over safety when we remove railings on the fishing platform itself in order to avoid damages during ice out or very high water. That's when we have enough notice of a high water event. And so one of the solutions they're talking about and wanted to propose to us is that when those railings are removed from the platform here, that they would actually be secured to a post and block essentially the ramp to the platform with the railings themselves. So the railings would effectively become the gate that prevents access to the fishing platform, and hopefully that would keep folks safe. And then to prevent folks from just scrambling over the bank through the garden, they were proposing perhaps to put some kind of fencing like a split rail fence to prevent folks from taking that route to get to the fishing platform. And they would reuse the boulders that are there now in part along the fishing platform access ramp. So just wanted to share that with you as a concept design, and the engineer would be happy to take comments, any comments that we might have.
Cool. So the fence would that go on that green space between the over on that other end?
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Between where they're proposing you put up the gate, the remote gate, and then that other split rail or whatever they want to put there.
Yeah.
That green space, I'm guessing it would go along there somehow to block that off too, right?
Yeah, essentially they're thinking of some vertical post that would be about positioned here, which is near the picnic table.
Yep.
And then you could basically chain the railings to that post to serve as a kind of a gate that would block entry to the boardwalk and the ramp.
And then would it block that green space just above there too, between the two fences?
Possibly, yep, because that is a bit of a low spot, right, where folks could just duck right through here.
Yeah, they could probably just go around.
Get to the platform. And you can imagine, I mean, these are fairly long lengths along of railing.
Yeah.
And so they probably
There's
would
a lot of
extend
them.
up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. That seems like an elegant solution.
Solves the
Right.
problem of what to do with all the railings and how to schlep them into a truck and so on too.
Exactly. Yeah. And then they're handy. They're right there for replacement after the storm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
okay. Let's stop sharing there. Any other park items?
I don't think so.
I think we're good on that. Okay, illegal dumping sites. Any updates on that?
Yeah, I was down at Bristol Pond the other day, and that access is still clean. I don't know if it's if somebody has been keeping up with it, or if it just hasn't been just hasn't been dumped at as much. It is rifle season starts day after tomorrow, so deer carcasses were a no small part of the problem, and folks may be coming into some deer carcasses in the near future, so we'll see if it stays as good as it's been, but so far so good.
Excellent.
I wonder, it's just that whole area is just kind of tidied up since the new dock went in, and I wonder if it's just getting more attention than it used to, and got more, I don't know, it's just kind of a more elegant launch in general. And I don't know, maybe that makes it a less inviting spot to dump your cigarette packs and deer carcasses and so on and so forth.
Really good point. Yeah. And maybe it's just getting a little more visitation by Fish and Wildlife.
Yeah. Yeah. Visitation from everybody. It's just like there's been a lot of use of Bristol Pond in general. It seems like this last summer.
Excellent.
Great.
Yeah. While we're on that subject, I know that Lewis Creek Association gave a presentation, what, a week ago or so, on their removal or their efforts there. Did you see that, Zaylee or Alex?
No.
No, we were not there, unfortunately. I did, however, just I've actually been corresponding with Kate from the Lewis Creek Association and just got an email from her, which with regards to Bristol Pond. Basically, so they're gonna put together the grant application is all out for the boat steward program, and presuming I don't know how safe this is to presume, but presuming that they get that grant, they're going to do a shadow day and invite the various local conservation commissions down there to talk about ways to maximize the efficacy of the boat steward program and to just get people familiarized with what exactly it is. So we're all going to be invited to that this spring when that happens. And there's also going to be a cleanup day, picking, let me double check the email. Let me look this up here.
To go after.
Yeah, we're going to do a day for European frog bit removal this spring as well. So there's she's got her sights set on Bristol Pond in a big way. Which is great.
Excellent. Well, the Lewis Creek Association was very instrumental in frog bit removal in, I think, Shelburne Bay, and cleared it out of there pretty well. So we're quite successful at it. And so I was kind of a little concerned to hear that or read that actually in this week's Abbey Inn that they did find frog bit in the Bristol Pond. So if we can get on top of it quickly, that'll be great.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to visit down there. Maybe we could have one of our Thursday evening, our regular monthly Conservation Commission meetings at the pond.
That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Cool.
Yeah, before it gets too cold or after it gets warmer.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. Cool. Alrighty. Website Explore Bristol PDF needs to be linked is the note that Carolyn left. Does anyone have any more knowledge about that?
Nope.
Beyond that statement?
Yeah,
I believe her.
Oh, I wonder if she means the Explore Bristol PDF needs to be added to the BCC website.
Oh, probably. Yep.
But yeah, I don't have access to that anyway. So
Okay. Well, we can table that too until next month.
yeah.
Okay. Edith Stock Trust. Any updates? Sounds like
so-
Alex fixed one of the trees.
Yeah, and the Clark's Tree Service, they're the ones who do the trees, and he has not responded to messages. So I think it's a matter of repeatedly calling until I can get him at home.
Okay. You think it's just a busy time of year? Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Or it's just like not a huge priority to call back the Bristol Conservation Commission. I don't know.
Okay.
Not sure. So I'll keep trying. Luckily we've got a while till spring. So
That's true. That's true. And we could always reach out to George Vince maybe because he had kind of an idea of the maintenance schedule
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
that was customary there. Okay.
yeah.
Cool. We'll put that on the agenda for spring.
Mhm.
Memorial Park Management Plan. This one is kind of, I've let that drop a little bit. We have maybe a little more than half the plan put together at this point. We were waiting on a couple of things. One was a tree inventory, but I think Helen reported last month that she completed that, so we can add that. I need to add that now to the plan. I think, if I remember right, Alex, were you going to do a little exploring of creatures and critters at the park?
Fishing's great. Yeah,
Fishing's great. Okay.
that was largely the extent of my exploration. But the
As an English major, I think you can do better than just fishing's great.
Right.
I can put that in eloquent terms, but yeah, that is essentially what I have discovered. It's a great little brook trout hole under the little waterfall there. My son and I were down there fishing quite a bit this past summer.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's a great little spot.
A little brook trout? Are they native?
Yeah, real native fingerling brook trout.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll add that to the plan as well. And then I think we might be pretty well set to that I can generate a draft that we all can review maybe at the next monthly meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and then send that or forward that to the select board for their review.
Yeah.
Okay.
I did get to thinking too, just in terms of like, use of Memorial Park, that if we could ever get to a place where that bridge is reconstructed and safe, and I don't know where that is on the priority list and how far out it is realistically, it also provides a really, really neat access. I'm thinking primarily of deer hunters, but like the access to the area on the other side of the brook there is kind of limited around there without crossing that river, which is, not horrible to do. But if we were talking about, so I can't remember what the term was in the management plan, but like secondary uses, other auxiliary benefits of the park, it provides great access to a less than easy area to access.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Explorers, hunters, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. We should have asked Porter, because I know she had a application in to support engineering design of that and consideration of what to do with that bridge. So maybe we can, I'll email her and ask her to maybe update us at the next meeting.
Yeah.
On that. Yeah. Anything else on the Memorial Park management plan?
I don't think so. Just let us know if you need help with anything. Send out things.
Okay. Yep. Definitely I will. I'll see if there are little pieces, parts that I still need to have written up, and I'll send that out via email. And then I think probably the next one I'll start on, at least outlining, would be one for Eagle Park. So.
Great.
Next item is Town Plan 2020. Note any additional reports on task progress this month for the Planning Commission's periodic updates. I meant to get a spreadsheet from Carolyn on that, and I didn't. But recall that there are tasks within the updated town plan that have the Conservation Commission designated to work on, and the Planning Commission has taken the task of kind of quarterly or so asking how we're doing on our designated tasks. Of course, one of those tasks is management plans for all the town parks, and so we're making some progress there. But beyond that, I didn't have much to add there, and maybe we'll have to table that until next meeting as well, because Carolyn was the one that kind of keeping tabs on those tasks. Let's see. Next item, policy on future of park or requests for memorials at parks. There was a letter drafted that we, I think, discussed at last meeting.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. There was a full letter drafted. I don't remember that it needed any amendments, but clearly
Okay.
it must
I think
have,
we've kind of generally agreed with what it
said.
out.
Yeah.
And so there weren't any other inputs needed.
I don't remember there being other inputs needed, but maybe there was a like minor tweaking that I'm just not remembering.
Okay,
But it sure all looked, I think we all pretty much approved it. I think so, but maybe it was tweaked and Alex has a new draft or something. I don't know.
okay. Yeah, he didn't mention that in the parks update at all.
Yeah.
So I guess that's another item that we'll have to table
Yeah.
until next month. But
Hard only having 3 of us here.
it is true, yeah. Okay. Oh, Emerald Ash Borer is the next item, committee updates. And Alex did say that he had no major updates to report on for EAB nor were there any plans in the works right at the moment for new plantings. But he expects more activity on that in the spring. Okay, next item is zoning permit 20-027. This was the item that I brought to the attention of the commission last month, but then I was traveling last month and wasn't able to attend. And the topic concerned the recent building within the last year or so of a camp structure on lands that seem like they are in the floodplain of the New Haven River near Rockydale off of Route 116. And that I had sent a letter as a citizen, not as a member of the Conservation Commission, not representing the commission in any way, to Chris Purley, our zoning administrator, encouraging him to avail himself of resources that are available through the Regional Planning Commission that help to define the boundaries of the floodplain, and could be very useful as he considers zoning applications for development or activities in the floodplain on riverside parcels. And so I brought that to the attention of the Conservation Commission as an example of a case where maybe not all the best resources that are available were consulted. And so I had concerns as a Conservation Commission member, because we are charged with looking after the natural resources, and in particular in the town plan, we're being asked to think about policies around development in floodplains. That my suggestion would be that we reach out to the Planning Commission and perhaps initiate a work group that might talk through the procedure that is supposed to happen according to our new zoning bylaws and the updated town plan for these riverside parcels, and maybe set in motion some best practices, if you will, that might include things like reaching out to the Regional Planning Commission for a digital version of those floodplain maps that might make it easier to evaluate zoning applications on riverside parcels. I had mentioned that I would draft a letter to the Planning Commission for this meeting to be reviewed, and I didn't do my homework. It's been kind of a busy week, so I thought what I could do at the very least is reach out to the Planning Commission chair and ask for maybe a joint meeting of the Conservation Commission and the Planning Commission, or at least a working group. And I didn't know what other members thought about that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that seems like a reasonable step going forward.
Just to get, I mean, it would just continue the discussion and.
Like, I don't necessarily know that I have a good understanding of what the current system is in place for allocating permits with regards to floodplain areas. So it'd be interesting to get a it seems like that would be a good way to get us all up to speed on what exactly the current system is and what we can, what effect we can have on that.
Yeah, I think we have new town plan and we have new zoning bylaws, and they're just starting to be implemented, and so it might be a chance for both of our commissions to talk through what that process is supposed to look like. And so if I guess we don't have quorum here tonight, but if folks think that it'd be all right for me to reach out to the planning commission and suggest that as an idea, I'd be happy.
Absolutely.
Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. Gosh, we're on target to have a short meeting this evening, it looks like. Okay. The last item is the Lewis Creek Association and the presentation that occurred last week. And I sort of jumped ahead a little bit when I asked you, Alex, about how that went. And so I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add about that item.
No, I think I said my piece on that. Yeah, basically it's now a waiting game for the grant with regards to the stewardship program. I don't know when we anticipate knowing for sure about getting an answer on that. I'll ask Kate though.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all. There's a significant. There's going to be more to come on that with our work day and our shadow day and so on. But it's not till spring, so
Springtime.
are sort of paused on that stuff.
Probably like May or so, like around.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds great.
Later for the shadow day, probably. I think. Well, at least the Lake Dunmore one, they had started till June, I think.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the case on Bristol Pond too. It may well be. I kind of think, that's bass season and so on. So it's when most of the boat traffic starts up on Bristol Pond that's jumping around between lakes and so on. So it kind of makes sense for the stewardship program to be targeted to those dates, the 1st of June.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. And there was a nice write-up in the Abbey Inn this week from Kate Kelly on kind of a summary of what their last season was like. So that's worth looking at.
Yeah, I have to look at that.
Okay, events coming up. I mentioned that one event at the Planning Commission next week, November 17th from 12:30 to 2. If you're interested in that, just check the email. I'll re-forward that around to folks. Other events that we're aware of coming up,
Not to my knowledge.
other than Thanksgiving,
Yeah. Holidays.
holidays, and deer season and fun
Deer
things.
season, yeah.
Yeah. That's the big holiday in our household.
Exactly.
Porter picked a bad time for that work bee.
Right? Exactly. Okay. So we will have a next meeting on December 9th. And Nancy, thank you for joining us. I hope it was informational.
Yes, thank you. I'll go get my forms and fill them out.
There you go.
Cool.
Excellent.
Be glad to have you.
Yeah.
And we can get the boys and Zabby to all be babysat together. She's got a little boy that's the same age as Zabby and
age.
Arthur. So
Oh, perfect.
Yes, that's why I was a little distracted.
Yeah.
I'm the only one home tonight, so I'm on all babysitting duty too.
Your attention's a little diverted. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. All right. Well, I'll entertain a motion if anyone would like to supply one.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
I have a second from Zaley. So meeting is adjourned at 7:11 p.m.
Cool.
Great.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and thank you, Ian, for recording and helping us work out the snafus.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
See you guys soon.
See you
Have a
later.
good night.
You too.